Okay, good. Oh, hi. Okay. All right, hold on. This is cool.
Yee.
No, I love it. I have no problem with them hearing this. Hello, everybody. All right, let
What's
me get
up,
this.
friends?
We are getting something uh situated here.
What's up,
And
friends? Oh, we're such rookies.
we are, man. Hold on. Wait.
Oh
Let's get it. Okay,
man.
boom, boom. Okay. All right, now. Can you see me? I'm on.
I think I
Let's
did it. Hey, I think I did it.
I think we're good to go.
All
All right. What's
right.
up, guys?
Hey, people.
We sounded really old right there, Quita. Like,
We are really old. Okay. Well, we're not really old. We're a middle amount of old because we are middle adults, friends. All right. And we are just so excited. We're live from LA, from the studio audience. Okay. Oh
Yeah,
man.
this is good. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Unlearned Podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Abigail, aka RA.
What's up, friends? It's your girl Jaquita.
And this is the podcast that is helping you gain the courage to change your mind so that you can experience more freedom. And we are live,
We
everybody.
are
We are
live.
live. First time we've ever done
Listen.
this.
Listen, this is a good time. I feel like
This
this is something that I said I would never do. I But when you got
Wait.
those friends that push and push and push, here you are doing the things that
That's
you really
right.
thought that you would never end up doing. But
That's right.
man, it's an absolute joy.
Man, this is good. This is kind of like you know how you say you do Queenie, you do a lot of get-togethers at your house. You're like, hey
I
guys,
do.
I'm doing a get-together, you know, and Friday at 7, come, and then you sit. There's this moment where you're sitting and you're
Yeah.
waiting. You're like, God, I hope somebody shows up because otherwise it's gonna be really lame.
Listen, I'm every time I do a get together, I'm like, Lord,
You get
can I
real
do it again?
nervous.
Like even, I used to do campus events for like, a living. And like you've done all the setup and you're just waiting on the students to get there. You're like, I
Exactly.
really hope this is not whack. Like, I
Exactly.
really hope they don't go in here and be like, hey, yo, ain't somebody else doing something in another building?
I know.
So
Like for
listen.
real. Throwing events is tough. But the cool thing is on this particular event, you could always rewatch it. So, come in when you come in. And
Get
we
in where
gonna
you fit
roll.
in,
You know what I'm saying?
friends.
It's gonna be good. Quita, it's 2025.
It is, friend. It really is. And it came quick.
Yes, it did.
It came quick, didn't it?
It
Like
really did. It really
zoom,
did.
zoom, zoomed in on us.
I mean, it's like 2 weeks into 2025, which is wild. And, I I had probably top 5 laziest breaks that I've had ever. And
Oh,
it was beautiful.
let me tell you something. That little snow that came back in and doubled back around and said, "Hey, your winter break wasn't it? Okay, you just needed just a little bit more time." South Carolina, we get a little dust. We get if we can
Oh,
pick it up and do this,
oh
it's
yeah.
game over.
Girl, yes. Oh
Okay.
Lord.
Once it's
You kidding me?
I had my balcony door open. Like, you better accumulate. Okay. I need to see something. I was watching the snow, not watching it because it was so pretty. I was
Yeah.
like, did it start accumulating? Can you see it
Hilarious.
on the ground? Because as long as you can see it on the ground, I'm not going to the workhouse.
Wow.
Okay. But yeah,
Wow.
no, but it was beautiful. It was a great time. I always look at snow and it's always like a fresh beginning, like it,
Mm.
because we're from the South and we don't see it all the time.
Sure,
So,
sure,
I feel like
sure.
somebody from the North is like, snow is snow,
Right.
snow, it's January, it's supposed to snow. But when we get snow, it's like, God is doing something new, saints.
Wow. That's
God is starting
hilarious.
us over. Okay, it's a cleansing. It's a cleansing. What was no longer is because it snowed, huh?
Wow. Wow.
The South. You listen. We'll preach about anything.
That's the truth.
Okay,
It's the
we will
truth.
preach about anything, and I done heard plenty of preaching about the snow.
Have you?
What?
I
What?
will say, in church, it was one of the actually, and this I probably we ain't gonna stay on this long, but I will say this, like at church on Sunday, my father did the preaching, and I tell you what now, he said something that just took me back. He talked about weather, right? He was like, he said this is also doesn't happen often. He's like, the sermon changed, right? And he was like, I was prepared for one thing, and then we got this some weather things that started happening, and God told me to change the sermon, which is not regular at all. So he was like, he talked about weather, and one of the things he said is like, when snow comes, and he was coming in from out of town, he said, because I know how y'all are, I'm going straight to the grocery store. I'm going straight to Kroger because, and he said, lines were all the way to the back. Shelves were empty. Man, like y'all, the snow, when it's time, y'all raid the stores. We go and
Listen,
we really have enough, but we want to make sure. You know what I mean? But
it
this is
doesn't
what
matter. It doesn't
this is.
matter how many cases of water I have.
Sure, you're always,
I
yes,
need
right.
2 more.
That's
I
correct.
need
That's
2
you
more.
need 2 more.
Okay.
You need 2 more, and you're gonna get all that's left. And them shelves gonna be empty. Here's what's crazy what he said. This really got me. He was like, why don't we listen to God the way we listen to the weatherman?
Ooh.
I said,
Ooh.
wait a minute.
Ooh.
He said, y'all do everything in the world to
Ooh.
prepare for this snow. But when the
Oh my
Lord talked,
Lord. But
I said,
it's so interesting because there's been so many prophetic words, prophetic people, pastoral people, just the men and women of the clergy,
yes,
okay, have
yes.
been out here saying 2025 is going to be different, right? Like this is a season of, it's supposed to be a season of revival. It's supposed to be a season of, did you put that oil in your lamp? Right? Did you prepare yourself for what God has for this year? And not just what God has, but for him to actually show up.
Right,
Did
right,
you
right.
prepare yourself for that? Right? And so
Right.
I think that this is a season where it's going to be you are going to see the fruit of what you prepared. And so I am excited about this year, but there's something about this year that's just kind of like making me a little nervous because it's the midpoint in the year and you're wondering if what I did before this point is enough to get me through the rest of this decade. It's the midpoint of the decade, and so there's a lot to think about. I want to take a moment, right? If you are just now joining our live stream,
What's up,
okay?
everybody?
We are looking at the chat. We want y'all to say what's up, say hello. Okay, drop maybe where your location is. We want to know where people are listening from. We're live, right? So this is not just us recording. So we want to engage. If you feeling what we saying, okay, we want you to put something in the chat. Let us know that you're with us and that you're hearing us and all that good jazz.
Like to race, I hope I'm saying that right. To race from Atlanta, he said same in Atlanta. He was talking about the snow, I think.
Listen, Atlanta got more than us. I was jealous too, because when I saw it in Atlanta, when I saw the snow in Atlanta, I was like, "Oh, it's about to go down." And when I looked outside, I was like, "Ain't no way Atlanta got more than us."
They must have came because I think Atlanta got it after. I think it came after Memphis. And Memphis got like 6-7 inches, and so it was pretty intense. So I think it went that way. What's up, Patrick and Shamika?
Hi, Shamika. Come on, plan and prepare to experience the the saints don't love an alliteration.
Come on now.
Okay, and that's what sticks with us. Okay, plan and prepare to experience the promise.
What's up, Felicia?
I'm writing that one down. Hey, friend. Johnny. Hey, Felicia. Okay. The saints are coming on in. The saints are coming on in.
We got some folks that came. That's wonderful. Thanks for coming to our party, guys.
Yeah, or else me and Ruth Abigail would have just been talking to each other like we always do. Okay, and we'd have been like, "Well, nobody came, so we're gonna do what we know to do."
Oh man,
oh man. All right, friends. So we're talking about the year 2025, okay, and all of the things that God is doing in this year and how we have set ourselves this year. We talked a lot at the end of the year in our last season on the podcast about, preparing your soul, really starting to dig in and take some things out and really get prepared for God to plant some new things. And then January came and I was like, I was like, what had happened? Like I had been preparing my soul, I had been pulling it up, and it's kind of like when January came, the year just kind of came and swept
Mm.
swept all of us off of our feet. And I think it's a time, a lot of times we make January a month of set the goals, set the mark.
Oh Lord.
What are you gonna do differently? Everybody's like, you remember the lady walking up the blocks, and she had the bags with the different things, the different sayings on it. Okay, Ruth
Yes,
Abigail, Ruth
yes.
Abigail, don't
I
stay
had to
culturally
catch it. I had
relevant.
to catch it. I'm sorry. I had to catch it. I had to
Stay
catch it.
up, Ruth.
I
Stay up.
got
We're
it. I got
live.
it. Keep going.
We're
I got
live. Okay. Producer
yeah,
Joy can't edit
yeah,
this
no,
out. You
yeah.
got to stay up.
I'm
Okay.
definitely yeah,
You got to
yeah.
stay up,
You're
my
right.
sister.
I got
Right.
it.
But she had all those bags that she was carrying, and then people were writing different words on them.
Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes,
that
yes,
like we're
yes.
at the point where it is like, okay, what are you willing to say yes to in this year? Like when we start thinking about New Year's resolutions,
Mm.
which I really don't make anymore, and we'll talk about in a minute why. But when we start thinking about resolutions, it's what are you willing to say yes to this year? Are you going to say yes to your health? Are you going to say yes to financial management? Are you going to say yes to adding more discipline to your life? Are you going to say yes to building this life that you say that you want? Right?
Mm.
Because a lot of the things that we're praying for and we're asking God to do, God is simply waiting on our yes a lot
Mm.
of times. And so, Ruth Abigail, what are some things that you are preparing to say yes to in the
That,
new year?
that's a good question. I'll be honest with you. Part of my preparing to say yes was saying no to some things starting last year. So I think this is important. As you were talking, it's like, hey, what are you willing to say yes to? And what do you need to say no to so that you can say yes? And I think sometimes we have committed so many yeses and we get so excited about things that we have too many yeses on our plate, and some of those yeses need to be no's right now. And
Listen.
I had to do that. So that was like last year. I say middle, I don't know, middle of last year, I kind of came to this understanding where I was like, I'm gonna have to say no to some things. Um, because there are the things that I need to say yes to this year surround, I'll be honest, that there's three things that it surrounds for the most part. And that is my work at Angel Street, and that which I absolutely love, and I have to, that, my family, and this podcast. That those are the primary things in my life that I'm saying yes to. Now there are a lot of other things that I could have said yes to and have said yes to in the past. And I said yes to a lot of things while I was also saying yes to those most important things. And I had to change my yes to a no in order to focus on
Hmm.
what was important. And
Yeah.
so that, I think, some of the answer, like, so answer both questions, right? Don't get disillusioned to so that you think I'm saying, like, yeah, what do I need to say yes to? But some things you've already said yes to that you need to change your answer.
Listen, I'm gonna hop in because I think the thing that I'm starting off this year having to figure out is that while there are some things that I can't see my yes because I haven't given my no's yet.
That's good.
Right, because I'm so crowded,
That's it.
right, with, "Oh, I can be good at this, and I can be good at that, and if I give all my time here and all my time there," and I honestly, okay, so Imma give y'all a snippet of a dream. For all of y'all who are dreamers out there, we have these crazy dreams, and then we're like, "Okay, Lord, what does that mean?" And you trying to figure it out. But there was one point that was so clear to
Mm.
me. In the dream, I was actually about to get married. But that's not the point. Stay focused, right? But in the dream, somebody texted me and said, "Hey, you're getting married. I'm so excited for you. I'll give you $50 if you do my makeup." And then somebody else texted me and said, "Oh, Jaquita, we're so excited for you and everything God is doing for you. I'll give you $50 if you cook for me." And I told both of them, because I was focused on the $50, I
Hmm.
told both of them yes. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna need this money. Yeah, like I'm gonna
Ooh.
take this 50 and that 50."
Ooh.
And I'm sitting here, it's the day of my wedding, right? And I can't focus on what I'm actually preparing for because I'm thinking about what I was supposed to be doing for them or
Come
what I
on.
thought I needed to do for them.
Come
And it
on.
can't, and in the dream, I literally ran out of time, right? Right, Emmanuel, come on, marriage. I know my brother praying for me, all right? Right. I literally ran out of time. And then the people came to the wedding. The one person came to the wedding with her makeup already done. And
Mm.
I was telling her, I'm so sorry I couldn't do your makeup. She was like, oh, it's fine. I did it. And then I was like, well, why you ask me? Then the other girl
Mm.
came and I forgot there's food at a reception. She came and made a plate. And I said, I'm so sorry I couldn't cook for you. She was like, girl, it's fine. I'm going to take a plate to go. And I was
Wow.
like, we spend so much time focusing and trying to fulfill the requests
Come
of the
on.
people around us that we're too busy fulfilling requests that we're missing purpose.
Come on.
You are actually preparing for something that God has prepared for you. But because these distracting requests came in of stuff that people don't really need, it would just be nice for them to have. Right? It would just be nice if Jaquita did your makeup. And I ain't no makeup artist, all right? I do what I can for myself, and I really get nervous doing anything for anybody else, right? But it would be nice if I did that for this person. It would be nice if I cooked, but I'm in preparation for something that God has set me in motion for, right? And it's a joining, and what I'm getting prepared for has a greater purpose than me.
That's it.
Your makeup and me cooking, that while it sounds good and while it feels good in that moment, it's not what I'm preparing for. And how can we stay focused on what God is sending us to instead of getting distracted by the request? And I really came out of that dream saying, I know. Look, my other brother came through too. I
He
see
did.
you.
The people
Thank
are
you,
here for
God.
you,
Thank
Quita.
you,
I love
God.
it.
Sorry.
I
You
love
see,
it.
focus, right?
That's it.
But it was such a clear depiction to me that while those requests were from people that I love and people that I want to
That's
serve,
it.
and
That's
it's
it.
not that any other time I would have done it without even thinking twice. But the moment that I was in necessitated my focus. And we lose hope
Man, come
because
on
we
now.
lose focus.
Oh my.
It's hard to
Oh.
be hopeful for something when your attention, when your energy, when your motivation, when all of your efforts are divided because you got too many people in your ear saying, oh, Jaquita, do this, do that, do that. Can you do that? Oh, you're so good at this. Oh, you're so good at that. And God is saying, but I have you in a moment. I have you in a moment. Can you stay in the moment I have you in? And that I feel is the difficult decision of 2025. It's, are you going to stay in the moment that God has for you, or are you going to get pulled by the distraction?
Okay, so I think so Quita and I were talking a little earlier, and I was telling her we were talking a little bit about this, and we were using the word pivot, which, and I hope this makes sense. So when you pivot, right? If you play basketball, so our son Tyson, he just started playing basketball.
Tyson.
And so we're teaching him some things, and one of the things we were doing the other day was teaching him how to pivot. So and so I was just had this idea in my mind. It's like the real power of pivoting is waiting until it is time to move again. But
Mm.
you can't move too early, because if you do, you'll lose possession of the ball. You'll have a turnover, you'll have a penalty if you move your feet too early. And
Mm.
so the question is, are we willing, to your point, Quita, are we willing to stay put, to not be distracted, to hold on to what God has given us
Whew.
and stay in place until it's time to move,
Whew.
instead of moving early based on the word of others, right?
Whew.
And so I think like that is, but and I just need to tag one of the points that you said, because it's so the most of the things that we are distracted by are not bad things.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
actually, for those of us, who are Jesus followers, and for those of us who are trying to, do better our lives, live right, all this stuff, we don't really get distracted by the bad stuff. We kind of know, hey, I don't need to be doing that. Like
Mm.
that's not the test. The test is, am I being distracted by that which people would say is good, and from people who love me? Because that can
Mhm.
also be distracting. And it's not because they are bad people or they're trying to get you off course, but they're not God and they don't know. And so you have to be discerning of to know, how is God speaking to me, and what is God, how it's got to be okay that I say no to some things. It's got to be okay that I stop saying yes and fulfilling other people's requests at their time on their
Mm.
timetable at the expense of my progression.
But we're
If
in
that's
the
not okay, if that's not okay with the people,
mm-hmm.
then you have to I think that that comes to another critical point in your relational life, where you want to be surrounded by people who are for your growth, even if it seems like as it's at the expense of their own convenience, right?
Listen. Listen, I feel this strongly. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. We see y'all.
Yo, what's
Hey,
up,
Adim,
y'all?
we got some Furman
Adim,
people in
what's up?
there. Hey, Lena. All right, we had some people join. I just wanted to
We
make sure
do.
we
We got to
shouted
make
them
sure
out
we
real
shout them
quick.
out. Hey,
Yes.
Emmanuel.
Listen, this is what
Michael,
I
what's up?
want to stick with y'all as we are moving through this year. This is the year of God's voice. This is the year of his wind. God is breathing on things himself. And we are so used to getting our direction and our understanding of
Yeah.
ourselves and our understanding of what's next in our lives and our understanding of what God would have us to do. We're used to getting that from other people, whether
Yeah.
it's through other people affirming you or other people who are like trying to push you and say, this is the direction you should go, and this is who you are, and this is what's inside of you. And if you notice, and I want y'all to put in the chat if you can identify with this, a lot of the voices that you've been used to following have gone quiet. A lot of the people that you were looking to for your affirmation, for your understanding of who you are, for the pats on the back, for the yes, I love you, I love what you're doing, and this is who you are, those voices are dimming because the voice of God has to become greater in your
Mm.
life. The voice and the present, and not just the voice that we hear in the Holy Spirit, but you're tuning into this word. Yes, I have it right here.
Come
Okay,
on.
because
Come
I knew it
on.
was going to be that kind of
Come
night,
on, hard
right?
copy.
But I believe in a hard copy. All right, y'all keep you one around and keep it open.
Yes.
Let it breathe into the atmosphere. Okay, but it is a year where you are going to have to go to God and hear the timing and feel the flow and feel the rhythm of what he's doing, because God is positioning us. It's a moment, y'all. We are in a specific, intentional, really critical moment of God, where God is like, you have to hear me, because the Bible says, y'all all know it, Jeremiah 29 and 11. Y'all probably got a little bracelet with it, all right, a little bookmark. You got it somewhere on a shirt somewhere. You've seen it, right? I know the plans that I have for you. I know the
Mm.
thoughts that I think towards you. They're good and not of evil, to give you an expected end. And while
Mm-hmm.
people have been able to see shadows and images of where you're going, God has the plan. And this is a year where we are going to have to really submit ourselves. So if you are starting this year off and you're just like, I really feel like I feel aimless. I feel like I don't know which direction to go in, or I feel like I don't know how to move in the way that God is intending me to move. You need to take a moment, and I mean this in all sincerity. There needs to be a moment of surrenderance, because this is not a year that we are guiding ourselves, or that we're going to be led by the voices of people that we've allowed to influence us in the past. And I'm not saying don't listen to wise counsel. I'm
Correct.
not saying don't submit yourself to leadership. I'm saying you need to be practicing surrendering to God. That means going down on your face and praying, and not necessarily going to him with your plan, but saying, God, what is the expected end? God, what are the thoughts? God, will you show me? Will you give me insight and clarity and wisdom? Because what we're moving into is new. It's never been seen before. The next half of this decade is not going to be like the first half. And if you are trying to model something after what has been, you are missing that he is the God who was, who is, and who is to come. We are moving toward the is to come. We are moving toward the God who has things that we've never walked into before, and you're going to have to surrender.
Yeah, I can't whenever we bring that verse up, and this is literally every time I hear it, I think it's so important to just remember the context of that verse. These people were not in a place they wanted to be.
Come on
They were
here.
not in a place where they were excited about. They were in a place they were ready to leave. And knew that they were promised that to leave. Like God was going to deliver them from captivity, but they were not home. They were not comfortable. They were not free. But knowing, so I think with that knowing, like there might be a place where you are that you're uncomfortable, that you don't like, but what they didn't do was try to go early. That is hard.
Mm.
And that is a hard thing. But understanding like, hey, there's a process here and I'm pulling you through the process. And I do know what and if you can believe, if you do believe that God knows you're expected in, then you can stay put longer than you want to sometimes. But sometimes we need to stay put. And the thing about other people, so many people in your life have great intentions. And a lot of times they're great intentions that might remove you from where God wants you too soon,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And so, because we don't naturally think that way, right? His thoughts and our thoughts, ways and our ways. He does not. We don't think like him. We don't think to we don't think to be joyful in discomfort. We don't think I want to like this is good. Yeah, I think you should stay right there and be uncomfortable. That is not our natural way of encouraging people. Our natural way of encouraging people is, yeah, you can do it. Get out. It's time. It's time. It's time. And maybe it
Move,
is.
move, move.
Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. And that's where the discerning piece of understanding, okay, who am I going to be listening to? Because the people that may have the best intentions for me don't know the plan for me. Only
Mm-hmm.
God does. And so I think that is sometimes, like especially when you're at the beginning of the year, we're constantly we're envisioning, you want to see yourself at a different place. And more often than not, getting to that different place is going to require being in some uncomfortable places longer than
Mm.
you want to be. And I think that in this season, in this next year, can we just talk about decade? I'm just gonna talk about the year because I ain't on that. Okay, I'm not where she is. I'm here. I'm on the year. So we just go. So like, I think that it in this, if you are thinking about, okay, how can I make the most of what's coming up in the next 12 months? um I think part of it is managing the expectation that I'm going to be, I'll say it like this, unlearning that I will be out of discomfort quickly, because there's a
Mm.
very real chance you might not be. There's a very real chance that the thing that you want, you're on this journey, but you're not comfortable, and you won't be for a while. You won't be comfortable for a while. But it doesn't mean you need to change course. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean you need to go a different direction. Don't mean to move here, move there. That does not what that means. You need to stay put. You need to keep going down the path. And I know that, there are goals that we've set. There are things that we want to do. There are places we want to go in our lives. It's just like, but man, those things require something of you. Like they cost something. And anytime something costs something, it's a little uncomfortable. I don't like, you know, I don't like swiping my card with and knowing that cash is coming from my account. That's a little uncomfortable sometimes. Like it's not supposed to be easy, right? It's not a free ride. And so just be encouraged that yes, God knows the plans he has for you, and
Mm-hmm.
he says that to a people who are in an uncomfortable place.
Man, okay. I got a point, and I want to get to it. Hi, I saw some of my family join the chat. Hey friends. Hey fam.
My Lord.
Listen, let me tell you something. We got a lot of preachers in the chat.
We
We
do.
got a lot of preachers in the chat, all right? And if y'all preaching and y'all gonna talk about something that relate to what we talking about, send me the link. I want to watch.
Right.
I want to watch. Okay, I want to tune in. All right. The preachers are in the chat. Hey, Shawnee. Hey, Naive. I love having a family here. Love having my people with me. Okay. The point that you were just making, Ruth Abigail, right? Because the thing that I've been harping on since the year changed over, I was like, Lord, I need my hope to be renewed, right? Because
Mhm.
when you're in that place of discomfort, and when you're in that place of waiting, right? A lot of times discomfort comes because I'm waiting, and I don't know when the thing that I'm waiting on is gonna come. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And that can be different things for different people, right? For some people, it's, an expansion of your family. For some people, it's an expansion of your finances.
Mm.
For some people, you're waiting on God to put you in that position for ministry and for really just moving you and bursting you forward in purpose, right? We're all waiting on something, right? And it can get uncomfortable. There's a scripture that I found last year that really pushed me through a hard moment. It's Proverbs, which is one of Ruth Abigail's favorite books. Proverbs 13, verse 12. It says, "Hope deferred maketh the heart sick,
Mm.
but when the desire comes, it is a tree of life." Right. And a lot of us started this year, and you had to really deal with, or we all really need to deal with, what happens when what I have been
That's good,
hoping
man.
for has
Don't
been
come on.
deferred.
That's good.
Right? I know it's his promise. I believe in his promise. I know God said it. I know God has it for me. And I know that I have been intentionally waiting on the Lord and trying to submit and surrender to the Lord. But Lord, my hope is wearing thin.
Mm.
My hope is wearing thin. And there has to come a moment where there's a scripture in Second Corinthians 4 that says, "We believe, so we spoke." There
Mm.
has to come a moment where you believe that thing again, or else you need to speak it until you believe. Because what you believe has to come out of your mouth so that God can begin to act on the things that we're hoping for. But the
Mm.
enemy wants to wear out your hope. I know we spend a lot of times thinking about patience, but there came a time where we've been in a thing for so long, and we've been waiting for something for so long, that you start to say things like, maybe God doesn't really have that for me.
Right.
And you start imagining a life outside of the promise. You start to say, well, if that thing doesn't come for me, how can I reimagine my life without it?
Yeah.
And that's a trick of the enemy. That is a trick of the enemy, because he knows that he has worn out your hope. And what I really want to again encourage the people who are listening, the people who are tuned in today, the people who are going to listen a little bit later. Okay, if your hope is deferred, I need you to know
Mm.
that it's not deferred, it is just in waiting. And we've been talking about that seed in the ground. If you were to look at that seed in the ground after 3 days, that would feel like hope deferred. But if you came back the next year, there could be a tree of life there.
Yeah.
Right. And it says that when it comes, when that thing comes, it is a tree of life. The thing that God is going to bring for you in this year is going to bring life. The thing that you're hoping for, there is life attached to it. You cannot allow yourself to neglect hope. You have to keep it lit. And you got to stay around people who are going to keep your hope built up.
Yeah.
You're going to have to stay around people who are going to remind you God has that thing for you. It may not need to be the thing that you're focused on right now, but do not, absolutely do not lose your hope.
Let's take a little breather. This is good. This is good. You this is good.
Listen,
Yeah,
listen.
I think that this hope, this hope I mean, this conversation about hope is so tricky. I don't know how I think hope is such a tricky concept.
For Ruth.
Okay, yeah, maybe
I'm
for
just
me.
playing. I'm just
Like,
playing. Go
no, no,
ahead.
no, no, no. You're not wrong. No, no, no. It is. It is. It is because I'm such a strategic person. I'm such a practical person, and it is very easy for me to put hope to the side and uh and really lean into what I believe is possible for me to do, right?
Mm.
To really that's I don't know if anybody who's listening is like that, but that is me. I am a okay, like hope is fine, but I'm gonna focus on what I know I can do, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it just I'm that and so I think that when you do that and when I do that, it causes me to be afraid of what happens when I come up against something I don't know what to do with, but you do have a
Mm.
desire for it, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so it's like, hey, my strategies and all of this, it's not, I've gotten as far as I can go, and I know that I haven't gotten there yet, but I don't know what else to do. And then for me, this may not be nobody else, but for me, when hope becomes the thing I need to do, I'm uncomfortable with that. I
That's
prefer
because,
to move. I prefer to
yeah,
do the things I know I can do.
hope is vulnerable.
Very.
Hope is saying I don't have the means to do it myself,
I
or
don't
else
have it.
it would be
It would
here.
be here and it would,
Okay,
yes,
I would have
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Okay, hope is vulnerable because it is literally you saying, God, I'm putting my trust in you that
Yes.
I can keep believing in what you said, even when I don't see it and I don't see a way for that thing to become. There's a different, like there's sometimes we see the thing, right? Like I got a new job, I saw financial increase, right?
Right.
Sometimes we see a thing, sometimes we see a way to a thing, right? This podcast is a way to a thing, right? It's a way to a thing that God is propelling us into, right? But when we don't see the thing and when we don't see a way to the thing, it's okay, Lord, you want me to believe in something I can't see.
That's
But
it.
come on, Hebrews, faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the substance. Your faith is living in your hope.
That's absolutely
And
right.
it's vulnerable. It's
Yes.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's based on the things that we cannot see. It's evidence of the things not seen. Your hope is the evidence that God's going to bring it.
Mm, that's
Hope is
good.
vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the evidence. Like, I mean, I think that one of the things that is important for us to unlearn in that is unlearning your thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat.
We
Thank you for
appreciate
giving us. We appreciate that.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. Um, the thing that I think we have to unlearn about this, is I certainly do, is to not allow your your own limitations in your own mind um cause you to diminish what you believe is possible.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Whew. Y'all, write that down. Write that down, friends. This is what the young people be doing. Clock it.
But clock it. Yeah, yeah,
Clock
yeah.
it. Clock it.
I
Okay.
always get that wrong. I say something else, but yeah. But yeah, no, don't allow your limitations to diminish what you believe is possible. And I think that is what I have struggled with, if I'm honest, in this hope, and like to really have hope about something is like I almost don't want to think bigger because I can't do bigger. But it's not about you doing it. It's about God doing it. But that is a very vulnerable space, especially when you decide to reveal that to other people, you know, and say, like, I hope this happens. This is my desire. I would also say this because I think this is also a very vulnerable space when you're depending on God for the thing you're hoping for. I think on some level, Quita, this speaks to something that I think we talked about in a couple of other shows before. How much are you surrendering? To what extent are you surrendering, so much so to where um what you hope for might change because your surrender
Ooh,
is so,
because you're surrendered.
you know what I'm saying? And so
Mm.
it's like,
I'm not ready to think about that yet, but go ahead.
well, no, I mean, here's the thing, and that's scary. That's, to your point, it's very vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, Lord, I'm hope for this, I believe for this, and in the depth of your surrender, your heart changes and hopes for something different.
Because I also think that in that surrender, we try to be as transparent as possible on this podcast. Sometimes Ruth a little bit more so than me, okay? But
Man, I don't know what else to do,
um
man.
but listen, I think if I'm honest with myself about where I am in this new year, is that the thing that I keep coming to is being back on that potter's wheel. And I was really struggling with that because, again, in our 20s, we're like, make me over, Lord. Make me who you need me to be, Jesus. Here I am, Lord, do it. But when we get to our middle adults years, it's like, hey, I've been made. All right. And we just need to keep bettering the product that we already have. But for God to put you on a wheel,
That's
I'm
good,
like, hey,
though.
the iPhone's already good. Just keep updating this
That's
one.
really good.
We don't need a whole new, thing, right? But for God, He puts you on the potter's wheel and He begins molding you, but only if you surrender to it. You have to surrender to being made over.
Mm.
And there's some really, really sage, wise advice that I have. Some of our friends now have been married. They've reached that 10-year mark, and I have one set of friends. I think this year they'll be at like 15. Yep, they'll be 15 years. Shout out to Andre and Brandy, right? And so I remember I was talking to them one time, and Andre was telling me how in their marriage, he was like, I had to get to know her all over again.
Man,
Right.
look.
And so we
Wow.
don't ever anticipate,
Yes.
I think we get comfortable in thinking, oh yeah, other people might change and this might change and I need
Yeah.
to adjust to their changes. But you never think about you being back in the hands of the creator and God saying your turn.
Yes.
You never think about God saying, okay, I need to make you over because the purpose and the destiny I'm sending you to. And oftentimes the very thing that you've been waiting on and hoping for is going to require a different version of you
Come
because it's
on.
not going to look like the way
That's
that
it.
you imagined it.
Uh-oh.
You're
That's
not going
good.
to get it. It's not coming in the way that you have pictured it inside your mind.
That's
Hope and
correct.
imagination are two different things.
Uh-oh.
Let's be clear, right? What you're imagining, right? Especially for all my women who already have their whole, next 5 years imagined, right? That is not the same thing as hoping for the thing that God has promised you.
That's good.
You have to be able to separate out, and only the word that is a two-edged sword that can cut between the bone and the marrow and the soul and the spirit can help you to differentiate between what's the thing that you're supposed to be hoping for that I promised you and that I have for you, and where did your imagination go left? Where did you branch off, right? And so I think a lot of that molding is God molding you back into the form where your imagination, the Bible says his thoughts are not like our thoughts, his ways are not our ways, they're higher, right? And so God has to bring us into the fold of his plan, his thoughts, right? His expected end for you. He has to mold you into that thing. And a lot of times it's not going to look like what you imagine, but what you can set your hope on is that God is good and he only has good things for me. And what God is going to bring me, the word that God has been putting in my spirit over and over and over is the word splendid. He said it's going to be splendid. That means it's going to be of an excellent manner and it's going to be glorious. Right? When we talk about the splendor of a king, when you think about everything that God is arraigned in and that he's clothed with, everything is splendid, right? What God is bringing to you is it's beyond your imagination, exceedingly and abundantly above all that we could ever ask in our thing. So it's bigger. And so you're gonna get molded and shaped to believe differently.
Can we land back at this different version of you piece?
Why?
Yeah, because this is why. Because I I think at the end of the day, God changes you before he changes it. If that makes sense. So God is more concerned about changing you than changing it. And we see that over and over and over because we see circumstances remain, but people changing.
Ooh, yeah.
And so,
Ooh. Sorry, that was good. Circumstances change, but say it like you said it.
We see circumstances remain the same often, but
Yes.
people change.
Yes.
We see God changing people in the midst of the same circumstances.
Yes.
Because God is more concerned about changing you than changing it. So if you approach this idea of hope with that truth in mind, then the hope is not in the it. It's in how is God, I hope that God makes me differently so that I can experience what he has for me differently.
Say that again, Ruth Abigail.
I hope
Uh-huh.
That God makes me differently so that I could experience what he has differently.
See, and that I think if we all at the beginning of this year, if you can ask God, Lord, help me to see where I am the way that you see it,
Yes.
you would approach the moment differently. I know that for a lot of us, we talked about we are in a moment of God. Like this is a moment where God is intending to launch us into something greater, into something better, into something splendid. But if you could take a moment, because the moment has to make you. We are made by the moments that God allows us to move into and allows us to move out of, to move into, through, and out of, right? You're made by the moments, right? And you right now in your life are in a moment of God that is making you into something, that can
Mm,
carry the weight of
that's
what you're
right.
asking God for.
That is
And
correct,
if you
man.
learn to see the moment and prize the moment, even when it's hard, even when it's stressful, even when you don't understand it, even when you feel clouded, even when you feel fatigued, like I do, right? Even when you feel all of those things, if you could take a step back and say, but this moment is making me for a glorious moment that far exceeds the moment that I am. The moment that you are is making you for a moment that will exceed where you are.
Yes. Yes.
Ruth has a
Yeah,
thinking face on.
I do. I just when you change, okay, I'll say it like this. I'm trying to think of a something very simple, but sleep, we all have to sleep. Sleep is all like we go to sleep, right? Everybody sleeps. That's a part of the
More and
human,
more in these middle adult
right?
years.
I mean, your sleep is what it is, right? But you experience sleep differently depending on how healthy you are. So,
Mm,
um I can eat, cookies and ice cream before bed and sleep one way versus drinking water and eating fruit and the same sleep and feel totally differently. My point
mhm,
is, uh perspective lives in pers- perspective is what changes often. And
mhm,
when God changes us, the thing that we're experiencing, even if it's the same, will change because our perspective, because we're healthier and we experience it differently. And to your point, the moment that shapes you is preparing you for the moment so that you can be healthy in that next one. And so I think that this we have to be okay with walking with God through these moments so that we are prepared for the moments we are hoping for. I think that's one of the most, I really honestly, it grieves me sometimes to see people go after something they're not ready for.
mm,
I mean,
mhm,
I'm saying that, like, even for me, there have definitely been times in my life where it's like, I really want this, and it's like you are not ready for that. And honestly, the grace of God keeps us. Sometimes I will say, sometimes He lets us get it and see that we're not ready. But like, I think sometimes, like, I'm grateful for the grace of God saying, just hold on, but like,
mhm.
you know, go through the process, go through the journey. Now I could shun that and do it myself.
Yeah,
Um, and experience whatever comes on the other side of that.
yeah.
But a lot of times, man, like, people are wanting stuff and there's like, I really want this and I'm gonna do all the stuff I need to do to get it. And it's like, you could get it. And I promise you, just from experience from the outside looking in, I'm telling you, you're gonna get this and you're not gonna be able to keep it because you're not ready for it. And so when I think, again, going back, I mean, we're obviously talking about hope. I mean, that's what we're talking about. To be honest with you, y'all, we were talking about, we were really trying to figure out, let's just let you in on a little plan and stuff. We honestly, we had talked about this, we had this planning conversation twice. We took notes twice, and twice these notes have been erased in some way. We
Deleted.
have nowhere where they are. Anyway,
Deleted.
so we
Gone.
we came on here being like, all right, Lord, like, whatever you want us to say, we just gonna say. So it's hope. So I think that the hope part again, and I probably feel like a broken record, but is your hope placed in the thing, or and is your hope placed in the thing changing, or is the hope placed in you changing? And like,
Mm.
are you hoping that God changes you? Are you
Yeah.
really hoping for that?
That's a mindset shift.
It's a mindset shift,
That's
man,
a
because
mindset
most
shift.
of the time we don't ask God to change us. We ask God to change it. We ask
My
God to change
Lord.
the thing around us.
My
Um,
Lord.
and we are often afraid to ask God to change us. And I think the challenge is unlearn that mindset. Start asking God, say, I hope that you change me.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need.
And I want to encourage the saints and friends. I want to encourage y'all is that it's not always that deep. A lot of times it really is in the simple things.
Yeah, that's
A
right.
lot of times, it really is, the Bible says obedience is better than sacrifice. And there are some simple things that we are missing out on because we didn't take God seriously when he told us to do it. Right. I'm gonna say this for accountability's sake, right? The Lord told me, Jaquita, go back to the gym. I actually love going to the gym once I get there. Once I'm there, I'm like, this is such a great time. I should come more often, but I make every excuse for why I can't get there. But when I'm there, I'm like, I hear God better. I'm tuned
Mm,
into the spirit because I'm practicing that discipline of focusing in on the moment God has me in, and in the obedience of the moment, God meets me there. Right. And I know that there's a lot tied to my obedience to God's simple request. And a lot of times you are waiting
mm.
on God to tell you to do the deep thing when you have missed the simple instructions. Y'all, God cares about your entire life. He cares about you are not compartmentalized in his eyes. Everything about you he cares about. Everything about you he has a plan for, right? And so when he says something like fast, simple, right? When he says something like time with me, simple. When he says, don't answer that phone call, simple.
That's good.
When he says, take a walk, simple. Be sensitive to simple instructions. And then that's when you will hear the deeper things of God when you have already answered the simple call, right? A lot of times we trying to skip steps because, and especially for my seasoned saints, you'd be like, let me tell you another thing the Lord told me. He was like, hey, Jaquita, you need to read and not just keep living off of your memory of the word. Right. Because I'll read it and I'll be like, okay, yeah, that was good. I done read it 1,000 times. I know this, I can recite this. And the Lord said there's power in the reading of it. There's power in you. That's why I keeps a hard copy. I want y'all to get you a hard copy. All right, and I got a couple of them. Okay, I'm about to start a little evangelism ministry. You're gonna get a little
Oh Lord.
packet. You're
Oh
gonna get a
Lord.
little bag with a little Bible, a little notebook, and a little pen.
Oh
Okay,
Lord.
because I want the bring hard copies back. Okay, bring paper Bibles back. All right, sorry, distraction. Right, but we, but that's a simple instruction. God's saying just read again, and not read. All right, I got a scripture in, but really just sit down and take time to just read the Bible
Mm.
and allowing, because in the reading there's something that's getting deposited in your spirit, right? But when we're talking about preparing for the moments that we're hoping for, it's the simple instructions that are going to lead you to the deeper revelations and into those promises that we've been waiting for. It's the simple instructions. God takes us step by step, not leaps and bounds all the time. Sometimes it's step by step, and you got to follow the simple instructions.
So, this concept that you're talking about, is is a concept we talk about on my leadership cohort, and it's leverage, right? So the idea of, if I have this, and if you're watching, you'll see this, or if you listen later, you may not be able to see it. But if I have this, this is on an edge of something, right? And the goal is for this to tip over. It's on the edge, and all it needs is something small to tip it. The question is,
Mhm.
how much weight does it need to get tipped over?
Wow.
So sometimes, to your point, we're on the edge of stuff and it's not that deep. But if you follow the simple instructions, it'll tip and it'll
My
fall.
Lord.
And
Yeah.
that's exactly what you need to do. And
Ooh,
so,
ooh, y'all got some promises on the edge. Ooh,
uh,
ooh, y'all got some stuff on the edge. Go ahead. I'm done.
it's some stuff on the edge. I believe that there's some stuff on
Mhm.
the edge. And the question is, what's the leveraging point? What's the leveraging instruction? What is it? For me, last year, the leverage instruction
Ooh,
was stop doing certain things. Say no to this. That was the simple leveraging instruction that put me in a position to now do what I need to do in this next year, right? So
listen.
you have to find what your leverage point is, because I think sometimes we're so focused on the big thing. We're so focused on, this is the vision I have, and this is what, and I need to do all these different things to get to what I see, and I need to do this and that, and I need to, but that might be true. But the beautiful thing about leverage, again, I'll do my little bad example here that I can't really do very effectively, but like, if you see everything that comes down, everything that is affected by this tip, everything behind it falls as well, right?
Mm,
So you don't have to worry about all this if all you need to do is hit that. That makes sense? So you don't have
listen.
to worry about the 10 things you need to do if you find the one thing that will affect the 10.
Ruth
And
got her preaching voice on too. She
that's
getting loud with y'all. She getting hype.
that's the simplicity I think that Jaquita is talking about. It's like,
Listen, for all my preachers, I know you hear the title. The title is The Tipping Point. Come
oh
on, y'all
my,
heard it
oh
too. I know
God,
y'all heard it too. The
oh
title of Ruth Abigail's
oh
message
God,
today.
here we go.
Somebody turn to your neighbor and say the tipping point.
Oh
All
boy.
right? It was right there. I know y'all picked it up in the spirit too. My
Ah,
God.
y'all need to help Jaquita. Okay. All right. All right. Anyway, that's that. And so I think but seriously though, I have found that particular point in my life, like understanding the power of leverage. Like,
Whew.
man, you will do less work and get more done if you do the right work at the right time.
Girls, talk about it. Yes. And it's something when you think about the weight, when you said that if you get that one thing to tip over, everything else is coming with it.
Mhm.
That one thing, all it requires is a simple level of obedience.
That's it.
It's
That's
just
it.
a
That's it. That's
simple
it.
and
That's it.
sometimes it's not just obedience. Sometimes it's God, I trust you.
That's it.
God, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Sometimes it's just a recommitment.
That's it.
Sometimes it's just taking that one step that God told you to take. And that's the tipping point for everything that you've been waiting for to fall into your face.
That's
Let me
it.
tell y'all something. If y'all need a word for 2025, or at least for this month, for January, for the first quarter, it's the tipping point. And this is going to be our prayer point. Lord, what is the thing?
Mm,
Where do I need to focus my time, my energy, my attention?
that's
What
good.
is the simple act of obedience that you're waiting for that thing to tip over in my favor? There is an abundant amount of favor that God has for us this year. And all he's waiting for is for us to commit to do that one thing that he's put on your heart. It's one thing. Stop waiting on the list. Y'all making lists of
One thing,
resolutions.
man. One
Man,
thing.
take this, get
One
that
thing.
one thing. God has a thing that he's saying this would change the whole game. This would change your entire life.
Baby, let
It's
me tell you
one
something.
thing.
That's
It's
it.
one thing. And say, God, what is the thing? And build your hope back up on the fact
Mm.
that God has something sitting on the edge for you. He has something sitting, y'all. Okay, he has it's sitting on the edge. It's sitting on the edge, and all you need, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, y'all better share it with a friend. If you haven't shared the live yet, share the live with a friend. Put it on your page because
Y'all
we
done
want
got Quita
everybody.
excited, boy.
Listen, I'm about to tip into my abundance. I don't know what y'all doing. I'm about to tip into my blessings and my favor. All right, I'm about to tip into everything. God, we're gonna tiptoe into 2025. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tip right on over. Okay. But ask God, what is the one thing
One
that if
thing.
I set my feet toward to walk in the path that God has me to go in, my simple act of obedience will begin the whole
That's it.
marathon of things working out in my favor. And not that those things don't come with work, not that they don't come with an extra amount of focus and more no's than
That's
yeses,
right.
because you're more focused, because you're more clear, but you have to know it's about to tip over in your favor. And that was good to me.
That's good, man.
That was
Hey,
good
man.
to me.
Come on, man. Like that's that. Look, that's I
It's
really.
sitting on the edge.
It's it. That's cool. This one, y'all done took her out with that boy. You did so good containing yourself. I'm telling you, because you contained some stuff. I felt it, and you did. And
I
you,
did.
boy, you did, boy. You
I did. We
y'all took
live.
her out. Y'all,
Producer Joy can't go in and edit it, so I gotta. I'm trying to be tame, but ooh, that
y'all,
was good to me.
y'all took her out, boy. But I believe that. I really believe that so many things are on the other side of the simple obedience. Simple.
Mm,
So many things. Um, and we encourage you all to unlearn that progress has to be complex. It just
ooh,
doesn't. Sometimes it's simple.
wow. Yeah,
Sometimes it's easy.
yeah. My
Yeah.
Lord, y'all.
Man,
Whew.
golly, y'all. That was good. That was
Listen,
good to us. I hope it was
that
good
was
to you.
good. That was good. That was good. We said we were gonna be good and keep it at 1 hour.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm proud of us, myself personally. Okay. Because had we been just recording this, oh, we would have went on in. We
Man,
would have
look.
let the glory fall and we would have stayed all night. But y'all got to go to work in the morning, okay? All right. We all got to get up early in the morning. But listen, y'all, this is so good. This was our first time going live, me and Ruth Abigail. I appreciate you all coming and hanging with us.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the friends and family coming through. I appreciate some people that I've never met before, but I'm
Yeah,
so
man.
excited to be able to commune with y'all and to just talk about the goodness of the Lord in the 2025. Okay, because there are some amazing things coming, and we are just grateful. We're super grateful to be able to have this community and to have this time with you all. So,
So
whew, this
so this was good. Like, and we're excited about this year and this new series that's coming up. For those of y'all, we're gonna start dropping our new series here. And this time we're gonna be talking about unlearning things we learned around the kitchen table. In other
my
words,
Lord,
what are things that we learned in our homes, in our environments, in our communities that at this season are not as useful as they used to be,
my
and we
Lord.
need to unlearn that. And so we're gonna be digging in, and so I'm excited about that. And so thank y'all, like we just said, thank y'all for rocking with us. This is the beginning of the third year of the Unlearned podcast, and we are here for it, and we are building this unlearning community, and y'all are building it with us, man. So share, comment, and let us know some of the things that you would like to talk about. um
Listen, y'all,
Let us.
can we take a moment? Because Ruth Abigail skated over that, right? I've only been on the show not even a year yet, but 3 years of her being consistent, of her seeing a thing through, of her providing consistent content. This girl don't really miss a week unless she really has to, right? She has been dedicated and consistent, and she has built a platform that will bless the people of God. And so when we talk about being on the edge and simple obedience, tipping something over, that's what it looks like, what she's done with this podcast. So I wanted to give her flowers while we're live. And so that's amazing.
Man, well, I appreciate that,
I'm
and
not nice
I'm
to her all the time.
she's
So
not. I don't really even know what to do
take
with that.
this and
Uh,
put it in your pocket.
Other
Remember
than
this.
say, thank you. I will, and so will Facebook and YouTube, so I can always go back in case I need a little encouragement that I'm not getting. Um, so no, I'm just playing. I appreciate that, and I'm grateful to be able to do this with my crew. And so y'all, let's so just check us out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, to the YouTube channel, do that. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure to do that so you can always know when new ones drop. And we are excited, y'all. This is gonna be a great year.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
and so we're gonna see you guys next week. Tune in to Freedom Friday this Friday as well. We got a brand new one of those coming out. So yeah, that's it, y'all.
All right, y'all. Tip
Let's
on over.
let's start
Tip
tipping.
on
Let's
over.
start tipping and let's
Yes.
continue unlearning together so that we can all experience more freedom. Peace.